যিনি আমাদের হেড অফ দ্য ডিপার্টমেন্ট ছিলেন, উনি আসলে দুর্ভাগ্যজনকভাবে আমাদের ছেড়ে চলে যান। তো সেই হিসাবে এখন ওনার যে লেকচারগুলো সেগুলোর দায়িত্ব আমার কাছে পড়ে। সো আমি আসলে আই গ্লোব ইনজুরি ওকুলার ট্রমা দিয়ে শুরু করতে যাচ্ছি, কারণ এটা মোস্ট কমন একটা আমাদের আই প্রবলেম, এবং অ্যাজ ওয়েল এজ এটা সংক্রান্ত ব্যাপার খুবই ইম্পর্টেন্ট। এখানে ফরেন স্টুডেন্টদের কি বাংলা বুঝতে কোনো অসুবিধা হচ্ছে নাকি আমি ইংলিশে কন্টিনিউ করব? আমাকে কি শোনা যাচ্ছে?
বাংলায়।
থ্যাংক ইউ, তাহলে আমি শুরু করছি। Today our topic is ocular trauma. I want to describe about the closed globe injury. May I audible? কোথায় বলুন? আমার কাছে আছে অনেকেই স্ক্রিন শেয়ারিং এ চলতেছে। আমাকে কি শোনা?
জি স্যার, শোনা যায়।
শোনা যাচ্ছে?
জি স্যার, শোনা যাচ্ছে।
আচ্ছা, ওকে, থ্যাংক ইউ। Introduction. An injury, eye injury can result at a wide spectrum of tissue lesion of the globe, optic nerve and retina axon. So the damage ranges from the superficial tissue injury to vision threatening, lots of complication. Today I want to discuss about the closed globe injury. Another portions of the eye globe injury is the open globe injury. This is actually the Birmingham eye trauma terminology. But to their description, there is a divided into the two groups. One is closed globe and another is open globe injury. The closed globe injury is most commonly we found in our eye OPD and or eye indoor department, where the corneovascular wall of the globe is intact and it is usually damaged. It most commonly occurs due to the blunt trauma. Closed globe injury classification is according to the type and grade. The type is the contusion or lamellar laceration and mixed globe injury. According to the visual acuity, we can grade it according to the visual acuity. If the visual acuity is more than 20/40, then it's called grade 1. And then if the no perception of light, then we know it as a grade E. That means most devastating. We found the pupillary reaction is a very important factor. When the RPD is present in the injured eye, then the known as the positive pupillary reaction, or if RPD is absent, then is the negative. According to the zone in this picture, we can observe that if the external wound is eyeball is injury, that means the bulbar conjunctiva, sclera or corneal involved. This is the external, that means the zone 1. If the anterior segment includes the structures of the anterior segment or iris is involved, then is the anterior segment injury. If the posterior segment is injured, that means all internal structures like lens, capsule or vitreous, optic nerve is involved, then we known as the posterior segment involvement. In short, if the epidemiology, 80% of the injured persons by closed globe injury is male. Here is the male female ratio is almost 4:1 or 4.5:1, and in average age of around 30 years of age. That means during the working place or during the trauma, we can found the closed globe injury. The source of closed globe injury may be the blunt object like tennis ball or any road traffic accident, sports or recreational activities related trauma. Sometimes firearms or fireworks also causes the closed globe injury. The mechanism of closed globe injury, there is a severe blunt trauma of the globe results in the anterior posterior compression with simultaneous expansion of the equatorial plane. In short, if we say that the pathogenesis is associated with the transient but severe increase of intraocular pressure, and damage can also occur at a distant site, such as the posterior pole also, and the extent of the ocular damage depends upon the severity of the trauma. Here, in a short, if we observe according to the clockwise, there is the pupillary tear. We described it later on briefly. And there is the iridodialysis, that means detachment of the iris from its root. There is the angle recession of the iris, and here is the cyclodialysis and meshoid tear and rupture of the zoniole, and finally the retinal dialysis or detachment may also occur due to closed globe injury. But principle of the evaluation, initial assessment or history taking is very important. We have to find out at first there is any life-threatening complication present or not, history of the injury or including there is any circumstantial injury or presence or not, and we also have to take the systemic disease history like diabetes, hypertension, presence in case of management of the patient. Thorough examination of the eye by doing the visual acuity test, slit lamp biomicroscopy, and ophthalmic examination is essential. Sometimes we have to do some special investigation like plain radiograph, CT scan, MRI, or ultrasonograph, that means BA scan. Sometimes some electrodiagnostic tests may also require to find out the cause of vision loss or any damage. So if we start from anterior to posterior, at first the corneal aberration is the most common features of blunt trauma. If the trauma is injured the eye, there is this type of corneal aberration may occur. There is the breach of the corneal epithelium. If it is involved the pupillary area, vision may grossly impaired. We can treat it by the cycloplegic drops like atropine and antibiotic drops and ointment. This is the picture of corneal aberration. But sometimes without corneal aberration, blunt trauma may cause the acute corneal edema. It's developed secondary to focal or diffuse dysfunction of the corneal endothelium. Tears of the Descemet's membrane may also occur. You know that the cornea have the 5 layers. The Descemet's membrane is the 4th layer, and due to the blunt trauma, sometimes this type of tear may also occur in the Descemet's membrane. Hyphema is another important feature of blunt trauma. Hyphema means blood in the anterior chamber. If we found that the blood in the anterior chamber, the source of the bleeding may be the iris or the ciliary body. And due to the level of the blood or due to the amount of the blood or hyphema in the anterior chamber, we have to treat the patient accordingly, which I described later on. In the pupil, there is a sign of blunt trauma, which is known as Vossius ring. Contusion may cause meiosis and pigment imprinting into the anterior chamber of the capsule. This is the iris. When iris is the pupillary in the meiosis level or in the small pupil, then if the blunt trauma occurs, the pupil is dilated, but there is a shade of the iris is attached in the anterior capsule of the lens, which is known as the Vossius ring. And damage to the iris sphincter may result into the blunt trauma, which may cause the traumatic mydriasis. This traumatic mydriasis may be temporary or permanent. Actually, this is the in the corneal pupillary region. This is the radial tear of the pupil also occurs into the due to the blunt ocular trauma. It's also a most common features of the closed globe injury. And another features of the trauma may be the iridodialysis. It is the descent of the iris from the root of the ciliary body. If the pupil is shaped or dialysis is seen in the dark biconvex lens near the limbus. If you have any question, please ask me during the lecture. Otherwise, I am just, it's a one-way conversation. Do you have any question to this?
স্লাইড মিস করছিলাম, শুনতে পাইনি।
যেমন কোনগুলা প্লিজ, মে আই রিপিট ইট ফ্রম বিগিনিং? Which one?
ভসিয়াস রিংটা আরেকবার বলুন। কি রিং বলছিলেন ওটা আরেকবার।
স্যার হাইপিমাটা বলেন স্যার।
Hyphema actually is a very important features of ocular injury. Hyphema may also occur from the closed globe injury or open globe injury. Hyphema means blood in the anterior chamber. This blood comes from the actually iris or ciliary body. Because you know that the cornea is a avascular structure, but iris and ciliary this may causes the rupture of the blood vessels of the iris and ciliary body. So blood from this ciliary body or iris comes into the anterior chamber. This blood may block the angular structure. It may causes optic atrophy, like this type of complication. So in the later on, I just during the management of the closed globe injury, I described more in the management of the hyphema. After that, this is the pupil. Pupil, you know that in case of normal eye, pupil in diameter is 2 to 4 millimeter. So when there is a blunt trauma, if there is a sudden trauma in the eyeball, there is a marking of the pupil in the anterior lens capsule, which is known as the Vossius ring. After blunt trauma, there is the damage in the iris sphincter, which may causes traumatic mydriasis. So this is the traumatic mydriasis actually. This is the, see that the iris is dilated, but there is a ring-shaped marking of the iris within the anterior capsule of the lens, which is known as the Vossius ring. It's a features of blunt trauma. In this picture, you will see that there is a damage in the radial tear in the pupillary margin area. This is the radial tear. This is the continuous circle shape of the pupil is disrupted. Here is the radial tear of the pupillary margin. Iridodialysis is another feature. Iridodialysis means detachment of the iris from its root. As a result, pupil may become D-shaped. And it may causes uniocular diplopia. That means patients may observe within the pupil or within the dehiscence area, which may causes uniocular diplopia. And surgical repair is required for this type of damage. Ciliary body. If the blunt trauma may causes injury to the ciliary body, it may stop the aqueous humor secretion. If the aqueous humor secretion is reduced, it may causes the ocular hypotony. That means ocular eyeball becomes soft. As a result, sometimes angle recession, that means trauma in the angle of the ciliary body may causes the is described in the glaucoma classes. It is the lens. Blunt trauma most commonly causes the if the iris touches into the lens, or if the blunt trauma is touches into the lens, it may causes opacification of the lens, which is known as cataract. Most of them cases there is a subcapsular opacity may causes subcapsular cataract may occur, and it's a just like flower shaped pattern of the lens capsule. This is the rosette opacity of the lens capsule. Sometimes lens may subluxated or dislocated. Subluxation means partial detachment or partial deviation from its normal position. If the subluxated lens tends to deviate towards the meridian, if the index is zonule. Dislocation, lens may dislocate it if the 60-degree zonular fibers is ruptured. Lens may dislocate it into the posterior vitreous cavity, or sometimes into the anterior chamber. If lens is in this picture, we observe that the lens is 360 degree. That means zonular fiber, due to the zonular fiber rupture, lens is totally comes into the anterior chamber. And here we have to remove the lens as early as possible, because this type of lens in the anterior chamber may causes the corneal endothelial damage. Up to this level, any question? Up to this level, do you have any question? Can you hear me?
So subluxation or dislocation দুইটার মধ্যে
Yes, subluxation and dislocation. Dislocation means totally detached from its zonules. Detached lens, or that means dislocated lens, may drop into the vitreous cavity or may comes into the anterior chamber. Subluxated means not total zonule. Some zonular fibers are intact, some are detached. You know that lens capsule is suspended in a position. If the lens zonules of the lens is injured, that means lens is tilted. Sometimes lens is partial in the pupillary area. Sometimes it is superiorly subluxated. Sometimes it is anteriorly subluxated, according to the zonular damage. But if the lens is totally detached from its zonular or its suspensory ligament, if it is totally dropped into the vitreous cavity or totally comes into the anterior chamber, then it is known as dislocated. Clear?
yes sir.
Sometimes blunt trauma may causes the vitreous hemorrhage, that means bleeding from the retinal blood vessels into the vitreous cavity. It may sometimes causes the posterior vitreous detachment. That means vitreous is detached from its posterior face. And tobacco dust-like structure is seen into the slit lamp examination. That means some pigmented epithelium is floating within the vitreous cavity. If not necessarily associated with the retinal break, sometimes due to the posterior vitreous detachment or some retinal pigmented epithelial injury, tobacco dust comes into the vitreous cavity. We can observe it within the slit lamp examination, which is a bad prognostic features. We can think that there is the retina or vitreous is badly injured due to this trauma. And it is a choroidal rupture. You see that there is a rupture in the choroid. Means eyeball is a soft structure. It is a blunt trauma. If the trauma is so much powerful that the eyeball contour is not maintained its structures, that there is a This is also a features of the choroidal injury, or there is a crescentic shadow within the choroid, which we observe clearly by ophthalmoscopic examination. And if this type of injury occurs, the visual prognosis is poor if the foveal area is involved. Retina may also involve injury due to the blunt trauma. This is a commissure retinae, is another important features of the blunt trauma. Commissure retinae, it's whitish. The retina has become whitish due to the blunt trauma or edema formation. The retina, part of the retina becomes cloudy. This is a cloudy commissure retinae, and this is a cherry red spot. Cherry red spot, that means within the macula there is a features developed within the macular area. If we not treat the patient properly, or if the cherry red spot is larger in size, it may causes the macular hole. Due to the blunt ocular trauma, these causes retinal detachment or retinal break formation. This is a retinal break or retinal detachment, and in case of this type of injury, we have to do the retinal detachment surgery to save the vision. Another features, finally, the optic nerve injury. This is a traumatic optic neuropathy. It means ocular, orbital, or head trauma. Traumatic optic neuropathy is an important feature. Sometimes it comes in the as a short note in the MBBS final exam also. So, due to the road traffic accident or any other injury to the head or orbital ocular area, we found this type of traumatic optic neuropathy. The mechanism of traumatic optic neuropathy includes the contusion, deformation or compression or transection of the nerve, which is intraneural hemorrhage or sharing secondary vasospasm, edema, transmission of a shock wave to the orbit. That means there is if any sudden trauma involved in the optic nerve, it may causes vasospasm and edema formation in the optic nerve, and as a result, the traumatic optic neuropathy, that means the passes of the visual pathway is interrupted. So as a result, patient's visions may reduce. So which one known as the traumatic optic neuropathy. And as a result, patient's vision is very poor. Typically, and the only objective findings is the RPD. We found that in that cases, if the patient is suffering from the traumatic optic neuropathy, sometimes anterior structures, that means the cornea, lens, retina is almost okay, but patient's vision is very poor. Only one finding, this is the RAPD, relative afferent pupillary defect is present. So at that case, we think that there is some injury in the optic nerve. And we can confirm it by CT scan or MRI. And that spontaneous injury is more, or if the vision is not improved within 1 or 2 days, we have to treat it accordingly. The treatment is described later on. And this is the most grievous complication of the blunt ocular trauma or closed lobe injury, is the optic nerve avulsion. Avulsion may isolated or it may occur associated with any other ocular injury or orbital injury. Avulsion means this is the optic nerve is torn or partly or full. The fundus examination shows is there is a striking cavity where the optic nerve head is retracted from its dural sheath. If the optic nerve is totally detached, there is no for the vision. So as a result of the closed loop injury, in case of management, first we have to determine that any other life-threatening complication presents or not, and history of injury, including the circumstances, timing, and by which object its injury occurred, is very important. So at first we have to do some examination of slit lamp examination, visual acuity, and ophthalmoscope examination. Then according to condition, we have to do some investigation like X-ray, CT scan, or ultrasonography. And after that, the specific management, if the subconjunctival hemorrhage, it may spontaneously recover within 7 to 12 days. If the corneal abrasion presents, we have to give some patching or topical cyclophysic antibiotic drop in ointment and follow up after 2 to 3 days. Sometimes a small amount of corneal abrasion may improve within 2 to 3 days. And another important feature is the hyphema, that means blood in the anterior chamber. First, we have to restrict the physical activity of the patient, and bed rest is advised, and elevation of the head, and observe the size of the hyphema or IOP and any chance of the rebleeding or not. If we found that there is a chance of rebleeding, then antifibrinolytic agent, that means tranexamic acid, may be needed. In case of analgesic, we have to cautious about aspirin. Aspirin group of drugs should not be used. Anti-glaucoma drug is essential because hyphema may block the anterior chamber angle structure, which may causes the increased rest intraocular pressure. So beta blocker or alpha agonist or carbonic anhydrase inhibitor we have to prescribe. Sometimes we have to prescribe long-term cyclophysic action like atropine, a drug like atropine. Topical steroids may be needed if the anterior chamber reaction like cells or flare or features of uveitis is present, and topical antibiotic drops and ointment is needed. But if the hyphema is not improved medically, or if the patient's intraocular pressure is more, then we have to remove the blood from the anterior chamber, that means the paracentesis or anterior chamber irrigation. If the intraocular pressure is more than 50 millimeter of mercury for 5 days, then there is a chance of optic atrophy due to the raised intraocular pressure. Sometimes the cornea is also blood stained if the IOP is more than 25 millimeter or if the hyphema is present more than 5 to 6 days. And sometimes this hyphema blood may clotted and causes the anterior synechia. So if the blood is not absorbed within 3 to 5 days, we have to paracentesis it and remove the blood from the anterior chamber. In case of lens, if the lens is injured or if the lens is traumatized due to the blunt trauma, cataract may occur. So according to condition, cataract surgery is indicated. If the lens is anteriorly dislocated, then we have to remove it by Vectis and have to do anterior vitrectomy, and then finally secondary IOL implantation. And if the lens is posteriorly dislocated, then the lens is extraction plus vitrectomy and secondary IOL implantation. In case of Viva, this question is actually important. In case of anterior dislocation, the management, in case of posterior dislocation management, frequently asked in the Viva question. If the lens is subluxated, we have to observe the amount of subluxation. If the pupillary area is covered by the lens or if the partially subluxated, we have to advise some spectacles or just advise the patients that there is a try to avoid any other further trauma in the anterior in the eyeball, or if the subluxation is partial and if the lens is cataractous, we have to do some cataract surgery by putting some capsular tension ring like device. And if the subluxation is more, then we have to do lens extraction, vitrectomy, and secondary IOL implantation like scleral fixation IOL. If the retina is break, we have to do retinal break surgery or retinal detachment surgery. And optic neuropathy, if the optic neuropathy is not spontaneously recovered within 2 or 3 days, we have to prescribe methylprednisolone IV. That means IV methylprednisolone for 1 gram IV daily for 2 to 3 days. Sorry, the slide is disturbing. And followed by the oral steroid. If the patient's optic neuropathy not improved within the IV steroid, then we have to advise some surgical management like optic canal decompression. If the optic canal is edematous, we have to reduce the edema and optic nerve sheath fenestration also. And finally, I have to say that eye injury has become the most common reason for the extended hospitalization for the ophthalmology patient in the developing countries. So this type of injury management is sometimes very difficult. So that prevention is, we have to give emphasis to the prevention of this patient. If you have any question, please ask me. Due to the internet problem, I have lots of trouble in presentation. I think that after opening the college or opening the classes in the lecture class, we have to discuss it again, and we have to conversation both way according to some problems of this type of ocular injury. Do you have any question? Can you hear me, please? Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Do you have any question, please?